This is a bad idea. I'm about to embarrass the hell out of myself. Let's go. Walking down the street, he's playing a beat. The way that he walks, you know he's not discreet. He's got a swagger and he flatters every person with his chatter. His charisma off the charts, he's big all madder than a hatter. But you know he doesn't have a single care in the world. He's got a charm that disarms, and when his smile unfurls, he's got those pearly whites with the beaming lights that shine so bright and make it feel so right. He can grin at the beginning, take it all on the chin. Every time he struts around, he knows a no to sin. It almost makes you sad for the poor sad sack. When your ego's that inflated, you won't hold it back. Someday that charm is gonna cause him harm. But damn, you can't deny you want to be in those arms. It's easy to look at him and just want to laugh, but we all know if we could, we'd be on the same track. He's a bard. Okay, I honestly don't know what I'm supposed to say here. Why should you play the bard? Well, if you just kind of look at the class, it pretty much answers itself, and I don't say that to be facetious or annoying, it's legitimately true. I have seen complaints about the bard, don't get me wrong. People have constantly said bad things about it, but it has never been about the actual class or the fact that it's not fun to play. It's the fact that it can do too much. Bard gets expertise from rogue. Bard gets the ability to cast spells almost as well as a wizard. Bard can just do almost anything, and with its massive array of subclasses, it can legitimately fill any role that's missing in the party so long as you build that way. Ordinarily, I spend the first part of the video talking about the fantasy of what the class is supposed to be. Also, ordinarily, at the beginning of the video, I give a little bit of a story instead of a sad attempt at a rap, so I apologize for your bleeding ears on that one. I figured I'd go ahead and try it out. But the point is, the fantasy of the bard is very simple and not really tied to the class, at least in my opinion. The fantasy of the bard is to be a performer. That's what the fantasy of the bard is. A jack of all trades, somebody who can do a lot, who's well experienced and well versed. The rest of the class is just trying to make sure that whatever you want to build towards, you can do. I will be honest, I have never looked at all the classes and thought this is why I don't want to play a bard. Anytime I've made a character, the only reason I don't pick a bard is because sometimes a lot of other classes can do things that the bard can do better. But the bard can do pretty much anything. Hence the name of the ability Jack of all trades. Now anybody who's a huge fan of this series, which if you are, thank you, very strange to think that that might be the case of something that I'm creating, but anybody who's a huge fan of this series knows that in my video on why you should play a ranger, I talk a lot about how the ranger can be a jack of all trades even better than the bard sometimes, and I still legitimately think that's true, but bard is just built well to feel good to play. Think about it, they get full spellcasting. Already that's a great start. Plus, they get Bardic Inspiration, which means that even if you're just focused on spellcasting as a bonus action, you can be supporting your party. It's just baked into the class. On top of that, they also get Magical Secrets, which lets them choose and steal spells from other classes' spell lists, meaning they get access to some of the most broken spells in the game, like Spiritual Weapon. On top of the fact that their subclasses just let them do what a lot of other classes do. If you want to be a fighter, College of Swords or College of Valor is the way to go. You want to be a rogue, College of Whispers is perfect for that. It even has its own discount sneak attack. To be honest with you, the only one that I think is really missing from being able to kind of emulate a different class is the Druid. I don't think there's a lot the Bard can do to emulate the Druid other than the fact that, well, they have full spellcasting and they can steal Druid spells, which inherently would make them feel a lot like the Druid, let's be honest. But all of this rambling aside, my point is Bard is good at doing pretty much anything you want to do and is a great pick for pretty much any situation. If you're ever in a situation where you need to be able to pick a class that's going to fill in the rest of the party's weakness, Bard is pretty much the go-to. So I'm going to be honest, I don't really know what all there is for me to say about why you should play Bard. I think there is plenty there in the first place. It's all kind of in your face. Bard is just a well-made class, and while there are some stinkers in it, looking specifically at things like Counter Charm, which is just inherently not good, but I think it could be forgiven given the rest of the class. Well, no, that's not fair. There's also the Capstone ability for Bard at level 20, which, okay, objectively sucks, but the rest of the class is just really solid. That makes it so hard for me to try and explain to you why you should choose a Bard, because part of me just wants to explain why you shouldn't choose a Bard. And this is all coming from somebody who ranks Bard as probably like my 7th favorite class overall. So I'm left with my hands tied. What do I talk about? Well, I'll default to what I always talk about because it's easy and it's what I like talking about. Role-playing. See, yes, while mechanically the Bard can fill in a lot of different areas, what I really find interesting specifically about the Bard is the fact that they cast through performance. Every subclass, no matter what it is, whether in the base class or in the subclass, it makes sure to emphasize the fact that bards cast their abilities through performance. And the reason they can do this is left super vague, and I'm not really going to get into it because I don't think it's important for what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the fact that the bard lends a very specific roleplay fantasy that no other class does, and that is the ability to gain power through their performance. Wizards cast through knowledge, sorcerers cast through force of will, warlocks cast through the power granted to them by a different being. Druids cast by the ability to connect to the weave of nature itself, and clerics cast because of the divine power that has been given to them because of their devotion. But a bard? A bard figured out how to perform to connect to the world through artistic means, and created power out of that. I know there's this whole stigma about haha funny bard memes, and I get it, trust me, I understand where that comes from, but I think I legitimately have a theory as to where that occurred. Many point to the fact that the bard is a charisma caster and also gets expertise, which is why there's so many haha horny bard memes, because, you know, if you can have expertise in a persuasion skill, and then also put all of your charisma into that, shoot, you got a full-blown success for somebody who can woo the pants off of basically anybody, right? But I think that's only half the picture. When I've seen bards played, I usually see it played by people who are very artistic, people who want to be able to express that, and not only that, I see people who want to be able to let loose and be who they truly are and feel bogged down by the responsibilities of life and just want to let loose, very similar to people who play barbarian, at least in my opinion and experience. But see, there's this difficulty in the world of which I very much relate with, and the fact that artists do not have much of a chance to be able to be recognized and experience what they want to experience. Up until very recently, art was not something that was considered worth it or worthy or a viable career option, and honestly, only recently has that started to take off because the internet has allowed artists to be able to express themselves finally in the way that they want to be able to. And there are kind-hearted people out there through the use of Patreon and other memes who can support them simply out of the kindness of their heart because they want to see that art. But without that, art does not have that much monetary gain. YouTubers, creators, artists, all of them have such a hard time finding a way to monetize what it is they love to do because it doesn't inherently add value to everyday life in the way that is traditionally seen. So take all of that and imagine you are somebody who just wants to create art but can't do it because you don't have a way to be able to survive with it. And you find a class that not only survives through their art but literally gains magical powers because of their performances. Somebody who's been suppressed and unable to express themselves, and suddenly there's this class that gains power from being able to do it, and suddenly we understand why we might have so many horny bards. Because the class naturally attracts people who have been repressed, naturally have not had the ability to be able to be who they are, and so yeah, if you know that you have the ability to create and perform and create magical stunts and hey, even woo the pants off of people like you haven't been able to before, yeah, it makes perfect sense why this class has that stigma, and I think it is well earned, honestly. But regardless, Bard is an amazing class for people who have felt repressed and haven't been able to actually experience the art that they want to create, and suddenly they have an outlet to do that. So mechanically, yes, Bard is amazing, don't get me wrong, it can do so much, but roleplay wise, there is something so freeing in the ability to know that your performance, your art, your skill, your talent becomes raw power that can be used to accomplish goals. So what am I saying with all this? I guess that ultimately Bard equals Patreon? I'm kidding, that's a joke, but you get what I'm saying. The Bard represents the ability to take your talent to be able to accomplish things with it, and that is such a freeing experience for so many people who have not had that chance. Quite personally, I've been working a job that just kind of sucks my soul away. The ability to start making YouTube videos was a fun hobby, and the fact that it blew up and people started actually listening and watching has been incredible to me. To be honest with you, I have a high hope that maybe I can take this and begin actually making some sort of career about it eventually, because it has been so incredibly inspiring and uplifting to be able to create things and know that people care about it and that I can inspire them to do more. And that's why the Why You Should series is one of my favorite series I've ever done. I'm honestly kind of afraid to finish it out because I don't want to stop making videos that inspires people to go create awesome characters. Every comment that says this inspired me to go make this character, or this made me feel happy and excited to play in my next session, that's the world to me. And Bard, I think, represents that joy to so many people. So why should you play a Bard? To feel empowered, to be able to create, to be able to perform, to be unabashedly yourself. And also probably to explore the fact that a lot of your identity is put around something that you didn't realize. I mean, again, roleplay is all about self-exploration, and the Bard is all about self-expression. The two, in my head, go hand in hand in the perfect way. It doesn't matter if your Bard expresses themselves through singing, through painting, through poetry, through dance, through swordplay. But the fact that they are about self-expression is exactly why you should go. So go out and play a Bard, you beautiful bastards. Don't forget to go out to the world and make it your own. Don't forget to have a great day, and never forget to play a role. Thank you all so much for watching. I cannot express how much you all mean to me. Thank you.
Here we go.
You can hear me. I know that you can. Did you really think you could invoke my name so easily? I require nothing more than perfection. You cannot leave work undone. You know what you must do.